dog in your life is thinking? Well, join me, Liz Murdoch, animal communicator, talking with the dogs and finding out what dogs want people in their lives to know and understand. I've spent my life talking and listening to animals. So if you consider yourself a dog person or just happen to have a dog, I'm here to help you learn how to talk or listen to the dogs in your life. I chat with people too, sharing stories and tips on exactly how animal communication or being a dog whisperer makes an impact at home or when working with the dogs. So welcome to Talking with the Dogs podcast, a place where we uncover exactly what dogs want us to know and celebrate that every dog has a story. So we have Beth Cherryholmes Miller today. We are talking about a variety of things because she is an author of a book. She's a visionary in terms of how we can change our communities across the United States into more dog friendly. We love our dogs, but we can make our communities even better suited for our dogs and how we interact. Did I get that right, Beth?
Yes. It's not so much about dogs everywhere and I get to do whatever I want with them. It's about how we completely change the culture of the community so that it helps everybody and the dogs too. So
yeah, and it's so important. So I want to touch about your book and everything, but I want the audience, because most of the dogs that I have talked, all the dogs that I've talked to on Talking with the Dogs, I'm Liz, I'm an animal communicator, and all of the dogs have been dogs that have been on the podcast where I could see them. I'm doing better, audience, showing the dogs on the videos, but all of the dogs I've talked to have been alive. And Beth and I met and she shared that her dog had recently passed away. And so I had said to her, if you ever want to connect, I also do that. I'm happy to support you in any way I can, just letting you know. And so I think, Beth, you were very gracious. Thank you very much, but nothing came from it. And that's okay, because anyone who's listening knows I'm not hard sell. So yeah, we met on Clubhouse and we were talking about other interests, and I was interested in what she's doing. And I wanted to share that with my listeners and her book, because I like sharing good dog books and stories that make a difference. So Beth and I ended up talking, and so we got onto her dog Rocky, and I said, if I want to, if you want to, I can do it now. She had shared, something private about how hard it was. So we did a mini session. And Beth, do you want to share what happened?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I love that we met in a way that was sort of, completely opposite. We're not connected, distance at all. But when we talked about what you do, it just made so much sense to me as being a huge part of dog friendliness, because there need to be options for people, and the way that you can connect people to their animals, I thought was fascinating. So I was interested in learning more, especially as Rocky was aging and getting ready for the end stages of his life. I had this, just crave for some kind of insight as to how he felt, because, you want to know if you're doing the right thing. Is he in pain? Is he confused? Like, what do these strange new behaviors mean? And we were sort of at a loss. So, reaching out to you, and then I was, talking with you, and I have to admit that, I wanted to interview you in case some of my followers on Wagtown would be interested in integrating that into their dog story and how they have their dog in their environment. Because I wasn't sure I really put much thought into what you did in terms of believability. I thought, well, I haven't been to a tarot card reader,
right?
But after that conversation, I would say, well, let me read you a little bit about what I wrote down after we did that. Think of all your friends, all of them. Now focus on the best friends, the ones you can go celebrate your biggest wins, be in the company of someone special, and be there to help you through the most difficult times in your life. Now imagine living in a world where your best friends each pass within 15 years of your first meeting. You will love them, they will love you. You will teach them, and they will teach you. Every time your best friend becomes ill, you'll be the first one to find out and the last one to say goodbye. So that was from the next morning after I had spoken with you, because you were talking to me about, I had explained to you that it's really Tom's dog. And the information that I wanted to know was, how can I help him grieve? Because I
Mhm.
knew I could see how much he was hurt. But I also knew that I felt like I could help him because I felt like I had bandwidth. Like I wasn't as crushed with losing Rocky as I was with my other two dogs that I had in my adult life. And I couldn't figure out why. And I felt guilty about it because
Mhm.
here I am fighting for dogs everywhere, and I don't feel that bad about my dog losing his, but then you said the first thing he wanted to know was that he was my dog.
That's right.
So that just flipped a switch on me immediately. And I listened to what you had to say, and we laughed about the fact that he didn't want people to think that he was just a pretty dog, because he was this big,
He's
fluffy Great
beautiful.
Pyrenees. Yeah, just a gorgeous dog. And so we used to even say, "Good thing you're cute," because he would bark and the drool and some behavior issues. But knowing that there was that connection that I overlooked, you know, so it just kind of hit me the next morning. We talked about moving the furniture, and so I just kind of was talking about it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is what she said," and I'm not sure still. But then the next morning when I was getting ready, we have a picture of Rocky in the closet, and I saw it, and it was like instantly I just dissolved, and it was like it happened all over again, because
You were
a
allowed
few
to
days
let it
earlier,
out.
well, a few days earlier, it was like someone else lost their dog. In that
Mhm.
moment, I lost my dog. So yeah, it was earth shattering. So, and we even moved the furniture, which you said he wanted us to do.
So for anyone listening, Beth sent me a picture of Rocky. I tune into the dog.
Yeah,
I clear everything out of my own life and anything. And all I knew was the dog's name and that he had passed away. And I tuned into this beautiful picture, and he did. I got this knowing sense that he said, well, because Beth had said, he's Tom's dog. And I was like, oh no, Rocky says, I'm also your dog. I was also yours. And that you also had a very special relationship of your own, that I guess Rocky gave us some a feeling about nudges. I get feelings of how he would interact with you in a special way.
yeah,
So yeah, so that's sort of how this works, and I just get those feelings and just allow myself to just share them. So you
yeah,
got
yeah,
this information, and he said something about moving furniture, which they sometimes say I can look through, but you did it. You did,
yeah.
and you felt a shift.
Well, and I wasn't even the one who brought it up. Tom ended up bringing it up, and he even said, he was like, "I'm not sure I believe her. She said generic
Right.
things," but I said, "I don't know if it was generic or if she knew exactly what I needed to hear. All I know is I'm actively grieving my dog now, which I wasn't doing before. We feel like we've purged some things. We're more connected because we feel like we lost our dog, and now he had talked. I don't know if you remember this, about he wanted to have some kind of legacy. So I did this
Yes.
post so everyone would kind of, like yesterday, here's what happened, and I'd ask people, you know, try to connect with your dog. And I think that's, how you and I started talking about having a
Hmm.
conversation is, people think they know their dogs, and then it turns out I really didn't know them at all. So I put on here, I wasted so much love because of something I had convinced myself that he was really someone else's dog. The truth is that together, Tom and I lost a very best friend. I didn't know how to share the news, perhaps because I wasn't prepared to realize how much I've missed out on. So love your dogs. Like, so I never really, it never occurred to me that dogs love us so much more than we think. I knew they loved us like crazy,
Hmm.
but this is on a different level of, I didn't know that. And so knowing that we had that connection, I know now I will love dogs better in the future too.
That's good.
Sorry.
That's
I'm a
good.
crier.
No, that's why, that's why I do this work, because as
Yeah.
weird it is, and it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and intuition and understanding or accepting things that we don't understand, people are becoming more tolerant of. But there's enough people who I've worked with, like you, who say, regardless of what it is or how it works, it's helped me significantly. Or
Yeah.
people who've taken their dog to a vet and said, this lady said that I should check this, and the dog is showing signs, and can you just do a blood test?
Wow.
And the doctor does it, and they're like, oh wow, yeah, there's this.
Wow.
So
You know,
I'm going
I
to
wish
keep
that
doing
I
it.
had met you earlier because Rocky did have some reactionary behavior, and I knew about some of the abuse that he had suffered before he came to us. Just and if someone had explained to me what he was afraid of and what he had been through, kind of thing, and what how I could have helped him, I
Mhm.
think his life would have been so much better. But I have to be honest, I would never have thought to call someone like you. But now I know, like I said, I will love them better in the future. And I think that would definitely include, finding ways like with someone like you to figure out how can I open up that communication so that I don't see what I want to see.
Well, I'm really glad that I could help you. And I do get, though, when you say, I wish I'd done this sooner, from the dogs, they don't want us to have guilt. So, as best you can, or
Okay.
anyone listening, I wish I'd done this sooner for my dog. Dogs don't want us carrying guilt from
Yeah.
every interaction I've had. There's so, especially with dogs that have crossed over, there's so much reassurance. Some dogs have said it had to happen. It was better that it happened so quickly, because you would have tried harder. It would have been more agony for you, and it wouldn't have led anywhere because it was still my time.
Yeah.
There's so much acceptance and forgiveness for the person. It's not even them forgiving, it's just wanting to reassure you that you don't have to have that. So I want to offer you
Yeah.
that and
Thank
share
you.
that for anyone listening, that I always get a sense that they don't want us to feel bad, like, okay, you didn't know. Do they want us to do better? Absolutely. And that's a big reason why you're here, Beth, not just to
Yeah. Yeah.
promote
Yeah. I have to
me.
say that, I think everybody, well, hopefully everybody, you love your dog as much as you can and as best as you can. And this is just another example of I didn't know. So it was the best that I could do. I just didn't know what else was possible. And I think that's what all dog people are looking at right now is I want to love my dog more. And this was just another way that, unfortunately it was after he passed, but now I understand his love more. And that, in turn, hopefully it'll make me a better dog, yeah, dog lover.
Well,
So
sure.
thank
And
you for that.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. As everyone knows, I love doing this. I love the dogs. I love using this ability that I have, that I've honed from trusting my intuition, to make a difference, whether with the dog that needs to be placed in a new home. And instead of bashing the family that couldn't keep it, it's like, okay, fine, this is where we are. What are we going to do? Where are we going to get this dog a good home? And I'm like so serious. So that's why if you're skeptical,
Well, and
okay.
if there weren't people like you, I mean, think of all the surrenders that happen because of behavior issues, and a lot of it
Yes.
is training and people not understanding what it means to have a dog. But if you could help them, if there's a fear motivated thing, I always say, did it start with fear? What are they afraid of? You would be able to give them a sense of what that might be and how they could address it. Everything from medicine to what kind of squeaky toy they have.
Yes, yes. Or encourage them, like, yeah, it's frustrating, but you know what? There are dog trainers out there that can help you. Your dog is telling me it wants someone who is gentle. So, yes, firm hand, but be gentle. Or your dog is
Yeah,
fine with someone who's going to be very authoritarian, like, nah, get over there, So, yeah. So anyway, so,
yep,
so that's more of what I do. But you're using this now. You already had the heart and the intention, and the brain, this vision to help the dogs in these communities in Wagtown in your book.
yep,
Now that you've had this experience with Rocky, and Rocky did say many times about a legacy that he wanted you to have some kind of a legacy thing. And I've never, like when your husband said, well, does she say this to everyone? No, I don't. And I do try and get very specific with all my clients when the dogs say, yeah, I really love you, you're so, the best, I love how you smell, or whatever. I'm like, okay, come on, you got to give me something specific so they're going to know this is you. But
yeah.
your you have this sense from Rocky that you want to have a legacy, but you'd already started something. How has understanding Rocky, if it has that affected your mission in any way? Are you seeing any adjustments, or maybe it's too soon?
No, I actually, was it last night or no, 2 nights ago, there's an envelope on the kitchen counter because we were getting ready for dinner, and all of a sudden I'm like, and I grabbed a pen, and I wrote another children's book on the back of an envelope, about, it's called The Dog Who Was Afraid of Hugs. And he
Oh,
was, because, and it's like, Tom's like, what? And I'm like, no,
oh,
you
that's
get it?
so
Like,
good.
they are. And it would talk about how he was afraid, but he was so pretty. And so everybody would want to hug him, hug him, hug him. And he was like, what's wrong with me? Everyone looks happy when they're hugging, but I'm afraid. And then he finally realizes, after seeing dogs at birthday parties getting hugged, and he thinks they're so happy, that when he sees a dog being hugged, he sees that whale eye, like, "Ugh." And then he's like, maybe it's not just me. And then he realizes that there's nothing wrong with him. He just needs to understand that he's okay, and then understand that maybe there are ways that he can work with his human to become more comfortable, and that hugging is a good thing.
Oh
So
my
I don't know.
gosh.
So that's just,
No, no,
so
that's
there's,
such a great book. I mean, there are
is
people
it
who
really?
are afraid of hugs. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's
No one
true.
else can write this book. This is Beth's book.
That's true.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
have
gosh.
dog. My dogs are wagging.
And it'll be a great
Yes.
Pyrenees named Rocky. So I thought, well, there's that. So I started the day after I talked with you and had that sort of breakdown moment. I actually, I do all my writing just voice to text on my phone. And I was just sobbing in the bathroom. And Tom's like, are you okay in there? And I'm like, just a second. And I had to get it out of me. And it was like that with the book. It was just like, here it comes. And then
Did
I
you
thought of
finish the
more
book?
parts and more parts. Yeah, it's on the envelope. So now I
Oh
just
wow.
need to,
Okay, so
I know.
listeners, it takes what, can take a year for a book to come out. I think this book is going to find its way. Yes,
No, I hope
because
so.
I started my whole thing with active listening and teaching resiliency with kids, and I know there are
Yeah.
many kids and people who do not like hugs, and a book
Really?
like this, yes, because maybe they've been abused, maybe they're just highly sensitive, and,
Yeah.
and this, they don't want to be touched.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, you think a lot of
I,
autistic kids can't handle that sensory
yeah,
information. So I didn't
yeah.
think about that. But yeah, I think it's just something, the point of Tucker book was to teach about sort of bullying, things like that, to send a message about breed discrimination and the effect that it can have on people.
Hey,
And now this one then, oh, I love it. And now this one then, it's teaching them how to approach a dog safely and to take into consideration how the dog feels about it. And I think that would help children because they really want to come in and hug those dogs. So again, it serves the mission, but it's been this, like, it wasn't about the mission when I thought of it. It was all about, Rocky. It was about what I learned after talking with you.
I am so thankful that you were willing to share what is a very private experience, for many. I have, people to talk about, well, have you ever talked to celebrities, or, like a celebrity dog? Yeah, I've talked to celebrities. I talked to, people who aren't famous. It's about the dogs, and a lot of people want to keep it private. And so this work, as anyone listening to this today can see, can be very personal, does move us to tears. And I just thank you so much, Beth, for being willing to share your story in opening up to the passing of a pet that you loved, the feelings and how you've been dealing with them. And amazingly enough, that Rocky's message to you about he wanted to be a legacy, and you allowed yourself to write this book that's done, that I can totally see this book coming out,
Yeah.
I think, is a testimonial to what can happen when somebody is open to animal communication, whether in working with me to help them get information, or they tune in and get their own sense of, I think this dog wants me to go do such and such. And you listen to
Yeah.
your own intuition and make that shift. That because you were willing to follow in the dots of your deeper relationship and connection with Rocky, now you do have this book that may become a legacy. You didn't set out to create something, but it
No, I thought
flowed.
my Facebook post, I was like, all right, I wrote something, and then I thought, well, maybe I could do something and name something after him or whatever. But I think, it sounds like he would love it, right? I don't know if you could tell me.
Yes. No,
Sounds
no,
like
no.
he would love it,
I
He
think he
he
would
wanted
be,
people to know.
I think he would be proud of you for sure. I think it's
Oh,
what's proud. I think it's
thank you.
making a difference in helping people understand that actually most dogs don't want a hug. Maybe
Yeah,
from their person, but certainly
right.
not from anybody
Not from a
else.
stranger. Yeah.
They don't want to be touched on the face. They want to sniff and then decide. And a
Yeah.
children's book that
We go
shows
in, they're
that.
like, they must want me.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's great. Not that anyone else listening has to feel pressured to do something big like write a book, but you can make a shift by getting a dog bed in your office and welcoming your dog. Or people have made shifts where they're like, okay, you can sit on this chair. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. That one's fine. The shifts of what we do when we use the information that our dogs want us to know, that is like transformational. So
Yeah.
I am going to invite Beth to come back because I want to hear more about your journey, and not
I'd
only
love that.
with your dog, or I think one of the things that came up was the word puppy. So we'll see if a puppy fits in your future, who knows? But I want you to come back because there's so much more to what you're doing with people that could benefit dogs all over the country. So I want to invite
Thank
you
you.
back. But
That'd be
I
great.
think this has been hopefully very informative and helpful to anyone listening who has lost a dog and is still grieving and trying to make sense of it, or wondering about animal communication and what are you doing. I'm tuning into pictures. I'm just sharing the messages, the feelings, the knowing sense that I get, and I'm happy to do it with anyone else out there. But for now, I'm Liz Murdoch, talking with the dogs. You can find me on Instagram. That's what most people seem to message me if you want more information, or my 5 free tips to talking with your dog. And Beth has a current book. I'm going to post it on Tucker because I think people
Thank
need to
you.
know that one that's already. Beth, give it a plug.
Oh, excellent. Yep. The book is Tucker Finds His Forever Home. I think she's going to post on there the links that you can go to.
Yes.
The quick one would be just to go to wagtown.org/book. And then the whole story is in there, the synopsis. And then you can get an autographed copy, and that raises a little bit more money for our mission, or you can get it through Amazon, although it's selling out all the time, which is good, I guess.
Yes.
So if you want one for sure, and you want to get it faster than waiting when they run out of stock, so you have some options. So yeah, and then it also talks on there on how you can support some rescues. So, but yeah, I think just to tie this back to you, I think that just that whole idea of communicating with your dogs, if the whole community is like that, then I think it wouldn't have been so difficult for me to have that aha moment. And so I don't know, where exactly it was that we first met, but now I know that having known you, it's fundamentally changed the way that I see dogs. So thank you for that, because that's all I'm working on, is a better world for dogs, and then in turn humans. And now I know a little bit more about how to make the world better for them. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, here's to the dogs in our lives, and
Here's to the dogs
finding their way to do better. And my dogs are so excited. They know we're done. They've waited patiently.
I hear the feet. I hear the feet.
Yeah, they're so happy. Okay. Yeah, they. Okay.
Oh, I love it. I haven't heard that for a while, so it's good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ready to find out what your dog wants you to know? Visit talkingwiththedogs.com, book an appointment with me, and we'll find out.
Thanks for tuning in to Talking with the Dogs. Hope today's episode made you want to understand your own dog better and appreciate that every dog has a story and something to say. Subscribe now for more dog stories and insights into animal communication and what it's like to be a dog whisperer. Review this episode on Apple Podcasts, or follow Talking with the Dogs on Instagram or Facebook, and sign up for a chance for you and your dog to be a guest on the show. Whatever you do, I hope you'll spend time talking with the dogs.